Hello, good evening. A head teacher in Birmingham says she's horrified that some of her pupils think it's acceptable for their mothers to be subjected to domestic violence. Staff at Anderton Park Primary, which has a good rating from Ofsted, are backing their boss in calling for a campaign to stop the attacks. Andy Bevan reports.
When primary school head teacher Sarah Hewitt-Clarkson addressed a recent Birmingham City Council inquiry on preventing relationship violence, she shocked most of those around the table.
Really, really young children in my school think violence is absolutely fine towards women. Absolutely fine. You just hit your mum. What's the problem with that?
Mrs Hewitt-Clarkson has been at Anderton Park Primary in Spark Hill for 8 years, 3 of those in charge. She's no stranger to controversy, winning a battle with some parents to keep a storybook about a baby penguin with 2 gay fathers in the school library. Sarah and her staff instill in their 700 pupils that any kind of inequality or abuse is wrong, despite what they may see or hear outside school. Videos like this one, made by the charity Women's Aid, help youngsters to spot the warning signs.
Domestic abuse isn't just about hurting someone physically. It can also be about hurting someone emotionally.
The level of acceptance of physical, sexual abuse, emotional abuse of women is absolutely shocking. And the more we see it, the more somehow it becomes acceptable.
Domestic abuse isn't just something that happens to adults. It can also happen in young people's relationships.
The stats show that West Midlands Police had nearly 10,000 incidents of domestic violence reported, but actually the majority of women that experience domestic violence won't report to the police. So it's a much bigger issue and much more prevalent than those statistics show.
Some forms of abuse can often be quite subtle. When educational achievement levels in some older girls here at Anderton Park started to slip back, staff discovered that self-confidence levels were being inadvertently eroded.
For example, like a girl, the phrase like a girl has become acceptable as an insult in general. You run like a girl, you throw like a girl, stop being such a girl. Everybody uses it, adults, children alike, and that's not okay. So one of my staff said, have you seen this video, Sarah? It's called Like a Girl on YouTube. We all watched it as a staff and it just puts it very clearly why this is not okay.
Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Show me what it looks like to fight like a girl. Now throw like a girl.
Aww.
So do you think you just insulted your sister?
No. I mean, yeah, insulted girls, but not my sister.
At the council meeting, Sarah Hewitt-Clarkson called for a city-wide poster and social media campaign. Its messages, she says, would be simple.
Girls and boys are equal. Always. Violence in the home is wrong. Verbal abuse is wrong. Treat everybody fairly and equally.
Everyone agrees that children are impressionable. The task now, both inside school and out, is to make sure the impression they get is the right one. Andy Bevan, ITV News.
One of the 2 men accused of the murder of a young mother from Coventry has claimed they're both innocent during a brief hearing in court this morning. Nicola Payne went missing from her home 24 years ago. Her body has never been found. Nigel Barwell and Thomas O'Reilly appeared by video link at Birmingham Crown Court. The 2 men aren't due to be asked for their pleas until another court hearing in April. A Derbyshire fire chief accused of raping a woman broke down in tears in court today while giving evidence. Sean Frayne denies the offence, which is alleged to have taken place at a pub in 2006. Today at Derby Crown Court, the jury heard Mr Frayne admit he did have sex with the woman, but that it had been consensual and not rape. The trial continues. A bank robber who targeted branches across the country, threatening customers with a knife and a gun, has been jailed for 11 years after an attempted raid in the Black Country. 38-year-old Gregory Dyke had already taken money from 3 other banks when he held up this branch of NatWest in Rowley Regis last year. He took £1,000 from the bank, but members of the public foiled his escape. The manager of a pub in Birmingham has apologised publicly to a customer who was told to leave an upstairs bar because staff said his wheelchair was a safety risk. Troy Hitchens, who has cerebral palsy, says he was mortified when he had to be carried down 2 flights of stairs by doormen. Callum Watkinson reports.
Troy Hitchens and his mother Zackaline have never let his cerebral palsy hold him back. So when, he says, staff at a pub in Birmingham told him his wheelchair was a safety risk, and carried him out of an upstairs bar. There was only one way to describe his feelings.
Embarrassed when they came me down the stairs, because when the bouncers come over to me, it was embarrassing. Because you know when bouncers come up to people, they feel like people judge you and that. So I felt really embarrassed.
So you made to feel as if you'd done something wrong. You say?
Yeah.
Troy says he was told he could go upstairs when he arrived at the King's Head in Harborne, even though the lift was broken. An hour later, a friend captured the moment door staff took him down again. A difficult picture for his mother to see.
I could tell just by his posture. His head was bowed, his arms were dangling down by the side of his chair. He's so embarrassed, he was mortified he was in that position.
And in considerable danger, she says, as anyone properly trained to handle a wheelchair on stairs would have known.
The pictures show two doormen carrying him down, one at the front, one at the back. First of all, it has to be four, two at the higher point, two at the lower point. They lift together and they walk down sideways. To walk down backwards, it's not only endangering Troy, but themselves.
The pub's management says staff were not aware that Troy had been carried upstairs, and it simply wasn't safe for him to be there with the lift out of order.
Troy agreed that our door operatives would be able to take him back down to the ground floor. We were put in a not ideal situation, and Troy's safety was not taken into account, as far as we're concerned, when he was taken up those flights of stairs.
And they have said sorry for what they've called any ill feeling in a public apology, but Troy's family feel a private one wouldn't hurt, and say staff need more training in both how to handle and speak to customers with disabilities. Callum Watkinson, ITV News.
A mother from Daventry whose teenage son was killed by his best friend wants other parents to be more aware of the devastating impact of drink and drugs. Alison Bicknell's 17-year-old son Stanley was stabbed by his friend Ryan Jahal last June. It happened at Ryan's house in the early hours of the morning. Both boys had been drinking and taking drugs.
I do think maybe we need to take the time as they're getting older to actually find out what they are doing, you know, who they're with and who they're hanging about with, because I had no idea of this at all, and me and Stanley were close.
Well, next tonight, a football team who are not just the most in form in Britain, but quite possibly the whole of Europe. Tamworth had a bad start to the season, but not long after Andy Morrell arrived as manager, they started a run of league wins, which now stretches to 12. Steve Clamp reports.
Forget Old Trafford, or Anfield, or the Bernabeu, or even the Nou Camp. The Lamb in Tamworth is where you're most likely to see a home win. They've now won 12 league games in a row, more than any other professional or semi-professional team in Europe.
Half volleys, yeah?
Andy Morrell took charge of a struggling Tamworth in September. Less than 2 months after arriving, this incredible run of victories began.
They'd drawn a lot of games and they'd come back in a lot of games, which meant that they had a bit of character about them, and I knew that they had some good players here as well, and I thought that if I could get them going, then it might be an opportunity to get up the league, and they've proved that already.
The club has a mix of young players looking to make a career out of the game, loanees, and one or two better known faces, including David Hibbert. He used to score for fun at Shrewsbury Town until injury brought his career to a halt.
It's been hard. There was some real tough times, you know. But like I say, I think that's why I came back to it, because you miss it so much, and great to still be a part of it and still playing.
And his goals have been a big part of the winning run. So what else does it take?
It's certainly confidence in your teammates and confidence in your own ability. But that momentum, it just seems to get in your brain. That lads have said that we were 1-0 down or we were drawing. They just felt that they were able to get back in the game, and that belief really spurs each other on.
They've already smashed their own club record. Win 2 more and they'll match the all-time British record shared by Manchester United, Preston and Arsenal. But we shouldn't keep moving the goalposts. The real desire is to get the team promoted, and every win is simply a step closer to that ambition.
All right, time now for the weather with Amanda Houston.
What's in store for today? ITV Local Weather, sponsored by Centre Parks.
Hello and good evening. So it's staying very cold throughout this weekend, but there will be plenty of sunshine across the region. That's once we get tonight's rainfall out of the way. So still some dry spells at the moment with some clear skies, so there's frost in places and also icy stretches. Watch out for that. Met Office still have a yellow weather warning in force. And then you can see here cloud and rain will be sinking its way southwards, and some of that could turn wintry for a time too. Now by tomorrow morning, most of it will be out of the way, so becoming drier behind it. Some lovely spells of winter sunshine. 1 or 2 showers developing for the afternoon. It's blustery and feeling pretty cold out there too. Bye-bye.
ITV Local Weather, sponsored by Centre Parks.
Okay, that's all we've got time for tonight. Don't forget to check out our website to get live news updates from across the central region all weekend. itv.com/central is the address. But for now, though, from the whole team here, do enjoy the rest of your evening.